book Blitz Saturday. So just coming back from the British Library. Like to do like a bit of brain training Tuesdays, Thursdays and Saturdays. Monday, Wednesdays and Fridays I do my physical training, so I'll train martial arts on those days, do a bit of jiu-jitsu, a bit of Muay Thai, bit of body work, training, pull-ups, dips, all that kind of thing. And Tuesdays, Thursdays and Saturdays I like to train my brain, so just reading some books, focus reading. I kind of read every day, like a little bit every day, but I'll read like I'll read books like for like a focused period of time, maybe an hour or two. I'll come to the library and do it so I can properly focus. Today I was reading Restaurants by the Numbers. So it's a book on restaurant success and how to build a successful business in the restaurant industry. I was reading a book by Gary Vaynerchuk called Jab, 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 Right Hook on social media, and the importance of telling good stories in social media marketing and business. I read a book called The 13 Things That Mentally Strong People Don't Do, which was really good, focusing on some of the things that maybe mentally weak people do that mentally strong people don't do. And I also read a book called The Omnivore's Dilemma. It's about food and basically some of the myths around food, and also like where we got our eating habits from, and like why we eat the way we eat, and what's this need for specialists in nutrition, and how we've lost that kind of knowledge about food. But I only got to the intro of that book, so I'll talk more about the other three. There were some other books I had to read, but I didn't quite get to them. I'm kind of doing these video diaries just mainly for myself, just to remind myself what I did, what I learned, because when you're reading books, you only retain like about 10% of what you read. There are ways to kind of remember more of what you read, obviously by implementing what you read. It's very important. So you're not just reading for the sake of it, you're reading to improve your life or to apply it to your everyday life. Well, that's what I try and do anyway. I don't really tend to read fiction. I prefer to watch films for that. I'm gonna go see Star Wars later. Gonna go play some chess again. I like to play chess as well to work my brain, so I'll do that in a bit, and then I'll go and check out the new Star Wars film. So I like to watch movies. I mean, that's my thing anyway. Filmmaking and film, that's my thing, other than martial arts. So that's how I like to consume my fiction. But in terms of reading books, I read non-fiction stuff. I read on various different subjects, like you saw today. Like I read a book on nutrition, a book on restaurant success, a book on business, a book on mental strength, another book on social media marketing. So it's a variety of different subjects, health, wealth, love, relationships, social and fulfillment, all the elements of life that we need. So that's what I tend to read anyway. So I mean, this video diary, it's not really, I'm not here to teach or preach or anything like that. It's mainly just me like kind of having a little log to myself of what I just did, so at least I can retain it more, because they say you retain more when you teach or discuss it, as opposed to just reading or just being lectured at. And even better, obviously, simulating the real thing or doing the real thing is the highest levels of learning on that cone of learning. If you've ever seen that, if you haven't seen that, check it out. Google the cone of learning and how we learn. 13 things mentally strong people do. Chapter I read was they don't waste time feeling sorry for themselves. So it's talking about how self-pity works and why people like to dwell in self-pity, and kind of what it does, that kind of instant gratification, satisfaction that it gives people, and how mentally strong people don't dwell on that. There's a lot of other good points in the book. Obviously, one of the points was about things that are in your control versus things that aren't in your control, and how mentally weak people focus on things that aren't in their control, mentally strong people focus on things that they do control, and accept the things they can't. All stuff that people know, but it's not about knowing, it's about making it instinctual, you know. So there was a lot of good points in that book. In the Gary Vaynerchuk book, Jab, 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 Right Hook, if you don't know boxing or martial arts, that term is an analogy for how fighting works. When you're boxing, you're throwing punches, you don't go for the right hook straight away, or the right cross, or the uppercut. You go for the jab. You know, you have to work the jab. It's kind of like how you bounce a basketball when you're playing basketball. You don't necessarily go for the shots or the fancy moves. You're just going for the straight up dribble. So that's how it works in the analogy of fighting. Gary Vaynerchuk, he's a social media guru, businessman, entrepreneur, and that book he was talking about social media and the power of it, and the fact that it is the new media. It's something I'm very interested in, because I've always been curious about marketing. If you know me, you know my goal is to have the highest grossing movie of all time, and to do that you have to understand marketing, because that's how that happens. You know, I'm about to go and watch a film that's probably going to have a massive box office opening weekend, Star Wars, Rogue One, and I'm not really a big Star Wars fan, but I'm curious about obviously that subject, because that's close to one of my goals, one of my career goals anyway. So he was talking about how social media is so big. When you look around, just look around you right now, if you're not sitting at a computer at home, but even if you are, just check up people around you. What do they do? They're probably looking at their phone. You know, people crossing the road, they're not even looking across the street, they're looking at their phone, and the main thing they're looking at, most people, is social media. You know, obviously some people are texting and various other things, you know, but the smartphones, it's given us this this ability to kind of connect to so many different people, but it's also given us a disconnect from people, because people are so focused on their phones now. But as a one thing he says, it's kind of like as a health hazard, it's really dangerous, and it's unfortunate that people are so focused on this technology and everything else, which I totally agree with. Like, people are becoming less and less aware, less and less present. I mean, even I am right now. I'm recording this vlog, so I guess I'm one of those people. But also, as from a business perspective, it's really important to understand this, and how a lot of companies, they don't understand social media marketing. You know, they don't understand that, or they're not focused. They're still focused on a lot of traditional marketing, whereas most people, they're ignoring billboards because they're looking down at their phone. You know, even I've seen it at the cinema. You go to the cinema and like they're showing adverts and even trailers, and people are looking at their phones. They're checking Facebook. You know, they're checking all these things. And it's important, how important it is to be able to engage in social media. Obviously everybody's on there, and there's a lot of noise on social media, but what this book is about storytelling, which again is something I really resonate with, because as a filmmaker, in post-production especially, it's about telling the story. It's about how you can craft together stories to engage people and to move them, and to monetize in terms of social media marketing. But in terms of anything, it's all about the story. It's like how well you tell the story, and that's more important. That's how you get your voice across in a noisy social media world. So that's what Gary Vaynerchuk was talking about. I was reading the first chapter in the introduction, and it really talked a lot about that, as well as looking at examples of mobile application of Facebook and Twitter and Pinterest and all these different platforms. And what was the other book? I've forgotten, I'm reading so many. So Omnivore's Dilemma, I mentioned that. Mentally Strong People. What's the other one? What was the other one? Well, those were the main three that I recall reading. Oh yeah, The Restaurant Success. How could I forget? Got such a headache because I've been taking in all this knowledge. Anyway, so Restaurant Success by the Numbers. Looking at that book, because again, there's a myth that 90% of restaurants fail in the first year, and the book actually goes through that in the intro, and it talks about how actually restaurants do quite well, and how the nature of people's eating habits are changing because of modern living, how people they want convenient ways to eat because they don't have time to cook, and how obviously going out to restaurants is a very social thing. Most people go out with friends and family to eat, so it's a very social thing to do, as well as the convenience of not having to do the dishes and prepare big meals, etc. Having someone else be able to prepare a good meal for you. But the book, really, it's about business. It talks about the numbers and how restaurant success works. And I've had a look through the book before I read it. I always look at the table of contents to read about the author. This is an author who owns restaurants and has had a lot of success in the restaurant business, and he's a CPA, so he's an accountant who's done a lot of business for restaurants. So it's called By the Numbers because it's talking about the numbers and how business works, how the restaurant business works. It's got loads of examples of different restaurants, financial statements, and how the numbers actually work, and it's quite astonishing when you can see the numbers. You can see, one of the things I've learned is actually about restaurants is that there's a lifetime. The lifetime of a customer is actually 5 years, and why customer service is so important, especially in something like a restaurant business, is that a customer who has a good experience will refer on average maybe 3 of their friends, and also that customer, I was looking at the numbers, it equated to about $26,000 of revenue that customer will bring in 5 years, in that 5-year period. So if you perform badly, if you give them bad customer service, they'll actually tell about 12 people, 12 of their friends, and the numbers of that was even higher. It's costing restaurants about $30,000 per customer that they would lose, times the 12 people that they would have recommended as well. So that's why customer service is really important, and restaurants who don't adhere to that, they're losing money because they don't understand these kind of numbers. So there's a lot of things there to learn. I've only just started reading the book and researching a few of these things. So again, I'm not teaching, I'm just regurgitating the things that I learned. I'm trying to kind of use this as a tool to remember these things that I'm learning from smart people who know what they're doing. So yeah, comment below, let me know what you read this week, and give some good recommendations of what I can read next week. I will be continuing reading all these books. I read just something new every day, but I'll kind of stick to the same. I'm trying to build a key library for myself of 150 books, because they say about 150 relationships, 150 books is about what the human brain can kind of grasp. Obviously I'll probably read a lot more than that in my lifetime, but I'm trying to go deep with those 150 books. So important books on health, on wealth, on relationships, and social life, and on fulfillment. So yeah, give me a comment below, let me know what your favorite book you've read this week is, and yeah, subscribe to the channel, get more videos. Peace.